Welcome back to another episode. Today, we're going to be covering a very simple thing, but a thing that is so misunderstood. What are the 5 angles that people should be going and making for their ads to improve their conversion, right? Me and Carson have gone away. We've done our research. We've gone through our own ad accounts. We've seen what's been resonating the most, what angles are really driving that to scale those meta accounts. Carson, how are we doing? Mate, can you please explain to the audience why you're sitting in a red chair?
Yeah, dude, I'm good. Things are good. Yeah, I'm pumped to be back here. A little bit of therapy for advertising for the week, get my fill. But I am in a red chair. I'm in Los Angeles visiting some clients, some friends, some family, and just traveling man. So I will be back in a routine and back home next week, which will be nice.
It'll be good to get you back to the old set. I was just getting used to it, right? But yeah, so these were the 5 angles and emotions we were thinking about. It was relief, identity, progress, accomplishment, and belonging. And we want you guys in the audience to think about this as like the emotional operating system behind winning meta ads, right? So I was thinking, Carson, that you could kick off relief and really go into a bit of a deep dive here. What some formats you see that working, let you just cook. We're in,
Yeah,
but
well, and
let's move.
just to preface as well for everybody, like these are like broad, what I would call tier 1 angles, right? So this is your like first foundational layer of what you're going to start with, and then there's sub angles on top of these depending on your product and what fits into that, right? So that you get more granular, but these are just to get you started. All right, so these are the core. But angle 1 is relief. So you want to make pain stop, right? That's people's desire to like stop friction, remove stress, eliminate annoyance, and make their life easier right now from buying your product. Right. And it's one of the strongest bottom of funnel emotions because people are motivated to remove pain than chase pleasure. That's loss aversion. Right. So it fits well into that core emotion of the angle. And relief it's immediate and it's practical. So it's not some like super creative thing. You just are basically telling people like you don't have to worry about this problem anymore because this solves why. It's very low cognitive load, so it's a lot of fast decision making. And like how I think brands use it the best is like no more blank. Finally, a better way to relieve blank. And then stop dealing with blank. Like those are basic ones to get you started, right? You want to get more specific with that in terms of the other angles. So I think like, what do you think are some great examples, maybe generic, it doesn't have to be brand specific, that people could use for this?
Again, it's interesting, right? I mean, I think you and I famously always say it depends on the brand, doesn't it? Well, I don't know. I think you've got to be looking at. I think fundamentally, so kind of before I answer your question, I want to just make this point very clear, right? As Meta's algorithm gets better and better at finding new customers, modeling incrementality, hitting up those upper funnel signals, you know, looking at the creative diversity over these kind of hacks that people do. I think it all starts in the building blocks of the ad. Of like what I mean, you do this very well with your psychology. I feel like what you've done at Mad Advertising is what is that core emotion, and then how do we tie that to a psychological principle? Am I right? And yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think just like, when people skip steps, that's when you can insert relief. You need to be able to like reduce the mental load, remove people's opportunity for guessing and objections.
Mm.
So have them make fewer decisions. And then just one less thing to think about, right? Like what makes it a no-brainer? That's pretty much the relief stage, is like what makes this a no-brainer for somebody because they're struggling with X and they want to accomplish Y.
Yeah, fully agree.
So just fill in the gap, and it's as simple as that. It's not easy per se, but it's very simple to do.
Yeah,
And all
and
you have to do is know what your customer is struggling with.
fully agree. And I think actually as well, I think the big unlock for me and how I frame things is that, especially with the relief angle, is that relief converts really well when the product feels like it's a part of the system, right? And it's not, and I think so many people don't they have to remember that these products fall into people's systems, right? They may have multiple products to solve one big problem, let's say to reduce anxiety, right? Like your product is a part of their system. So I think what the best kind of companies do when they're selling it is it's like a part of the ritual. It's why people use that terminology, right? So yeah, I think relief is a great one, and I'm so bullish on that for
I
2026.
agree. And why do you think boring products do it so well?
Well, to be honest with you, I think the reason why a boring product, I think to answer that in the best way is to look at it from a people understand the core value prop of a boring product. but they know the emotional appeal. I think what people get confused with when they're selling these supplements or they're selling these kind of exciting products is they don't like root it down in the core fundamental emotion that is being driven by a product choice, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why are you taking a supplement? Let's say you're taking a sleeping supplement, right? What is the relief that they can have? It's very poignant. You know exactly what it is. They're trying to get better sleep. They want to be more energized. They want to be more fresh, right? They
Well,
want to be
same with things like
candid.
vacuums too, and like Clorox wipes, right? Like Bounty paper towels. Yeah, they're boring, but the relief is there because it's so easy. You don't have to worry about, you know, excess water on your counter, or you don't have to worry about sweeping. Like the relief is there. It's speed.
No, I agree. I agree. And I think actually, it's just I think the boring products are also the peace of mind products in a
Yes.
way. And I think they're also why, people, and I think that's another life lesson as well of ecom brands is that, maybe you want to make these really sexy products one day, but actually to start a great company, you may have to just make a SKU that may not excite you, but just gets your foot through the door, right? As a familiarity bias kicks in, people get used to your brand. I think building brand, as you say, right? You're not going to have Apple's brand in 1 year. It took them 80 years to nurture that. It's just not going to happen, you know?
That's
So
exactly it.
so moving on from relief, we're now gonna slowly, not too fast, but slowly head to identity, right? Now, this is I look, I think this is Carson's whole lane. I mean, I think the psychology is identity, right? It's the insight. People don't buy to become someone new, right? I think they buy to protect their current self-image or an image that they want to kind of portray to the world, right? So, Carson, I'm intrigued for you now. Like, are there particular brands that you like and how they're approaching identity? For me, Liquid Death is a fantastic brand for that.
That
They're
is a
one of
good
my
one.
they're one of my
I
favorite.
think when we have to put in there's Nike.
I mean, yeah.
That's their whole. I mean, that's when you're in clothing. That's basically all you have to do is just sell identity. Like people don't really give a shit about the product. They just want it to look good and they want to be able to see themselves wearing it because they look like who you're trying to promote, right? Athletes like Nike because they want to be winners, right? They want to be like Jordan. They want to be like
Yeah.
Giannis, they want to be like Kobe, like whatever. All the basketball stars. They want to be like MLB players. They're selling the identity of winners.
And I agree, and I think actually as well, something that I saw that I'd love to hear your view on. What I've noticed currently, with client stuff and also just generally out in the space, is that the ads that are framed around not falling behind have been outperforming like the level up messaging, which is really interesting. And I'm guessing that comes from kind of the feeling of losing something is greater than gaining something.
Loss aversion.
Loss aversion, thank you. That's embarrassing from my end. See, that's a really clever frame, right? They're not falling behind. It's a greater loss, so they'll be more driven to buy. Something that I've been noticing, especially with Facebook's users as well. Older, more settled. They probably have a stronger feeling of an identity because they're older, skewed. When you're younger, you're more impressionable in like what you want to be in the world. When you get to like
Yes.
40 plus, you're more stuck in your
You're more
way.
set in who you are.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, and it's like I think it shifts, right? Like why it converts is identity protects people's egos
yeah,
and
I agree.
it helps them accomplish certain egos, right? They see themselves as why they want to be seen as, something. And then that product helps them fulfill that egotistical desire. And then people will defend purchases that reinforce the self-image so that they can stay consistent with their beliefs, right?
Mm,
And all of that I think identity is very big on cognitive dissonance
yeah, big time.
because you either want to create the gap between what they know and what they want and what they don't know, or you want to make sure that you minimize that so that everything's consistent, right? So stronger identity ads are what's going to get shared because people will be like, oh, I see myself or I see him as this, and they won't just get clicks, right? They're actually going to be generating conversions. Like how you can use it too, especially if you're trying to sell an identity, is like you need to use the words like for audience who does whatever, right? So it's like for runners who like ultra marathons or for marathoners who like speed, right? And it's built for people who like I don't know chihuahuas.
Mm,
Just
love that.
spitballing random
Maybe in
stuff
LA,
here,
that's why you've
right?
seen 2 hours, haven't you?
Yeah, and you can also take the inverse, right? Like not for everybody, not for people who like this. Don't buy this if you like this.
Why? But this is where it gets interesting because this is also where brands make a mistake. If you look at the Heineken
Yes.
situation where, I can imagine they've looked at the data and they've gone, oh, we should make an ad pushing, this type of demographic where their demographic is 90% not that, right? And I think there's a really dangerous thing that brands do where you look at data a bit too much on the dashboards. There has to be some feeling in the air, right? And I think like my favorite example of this is like the Coca-Cola thing, where they did these like testing groups and they found that everyone loved the new taste, right? But the minute they told it everyone, the minute when they sold it and they said, "Oh, the old taste is gone," everyone hated the new flavor or the new taste of Coca-Cola, right? But their data had told everyone in that little training, in that little like study group, not study group, that what do you call it? Consumer test, that they loved the new flavor, but they weren't aware that actually the old flavor was going or the old taste was going. It's really important to not silo your information gathering.
Yes.
It's also why I'm big believer on a post-purchase survey is to read it, understand it, but don't go fully down that rabbit hole. If you see what I
Yeah,
mean?
and make sure you're accounting for all the variables. Well, and you can also take the identity angle and apply it to us versus them, right? In
Uh,
group versus out group.
that's before, yeah, 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 100%.
That's a very strong bias because that segments you into tribes, right? So you're with the runners and you don't want to be like the couch potatoes, you know. That's a very additionally strong motivator that people I think miss out on is the us versus them with identity, right? Like just don't be like this group, be like our group. Join our group and you can avoid being like this group.
Well, I think it's interesting though that kind of before and after ad because it's people are so used to them now. I think how to stand out if you're running those types of ads is I think you've got to if it's a this is the thing right, I always recommend to people don't do it products, don't do a before and after product one because people are so have seen that ad a million times. Do it from a behavior or a category framing, right?
Yes.
And
You know,
you'll
it's
get stand out more,
It's
100%.
funny, this has actually been working really well for our clients. So we have been doing more identity us versus thems, but there's no product or other brand mentioned or in there.
Nice,
It's basically like
beautiful.
we have one that's like, don't buy this product if you like, itchy, tingly pre-workouts. That's an us versus them disguised as like a headline ad because it's basically giving you them, the itchy pre-workouts versus you in the same thing. It's just not formatted as that.
Would you? Yeah, is that? Would you say that's an unaware? That's definitely an unaware ad
Yeah.
because it's like
It depends, because one of
yeah,
our clients, it's a very middle of funnel, maybe bottom of the top of funnel, so it's very, very middle, and it
yeah,
converts well, and then the other one, it does really well bottom of funnel to just get people over the edge. But I
interesting.
don't assume that it's getting targeted to, just the most aware audiences. So I think it kinda depends on, like, the language and the product.
Mm,
As well as probably the other ads you have running. So
yeah.
I think there's a lot of opportunity for brands to start using that more is not a direct formatted of us versus them or before and after, but actually just in the copy.
But why do you think so many kind of e-com brands make that mistake when they're looking at ad creatives? Do you think it's because it is the definition of they just copy and paste before and afters and they don't think, oh, how many other companies are running that same ad?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just lazy. Like they don't want to do the research and they just want to drop everything into a Canva template, not think about what they're doing and then just run it. You need to be able to understand all of these nuanced things because it gives you a better understanding of how you can use these formats in different ways and how you can use these angles to your advantage. I think a lot of agencies too make a mistake of where they have the idea, they just go be like, okay, well, let's make it simple, like it's just us versus them, make it a format. And they don't try it us versus them in a different way. Like you could do us versus them with just copy and run it as headline only, headline benefits, headline and
Fully agree.
body copy. Like there's so many ways you can do it. It's just us versus them is not just a format, but it's the concept of how you present the information,
Fully
right? So
agree.
how are you presenting information in order for people to understand that they don't want to be this way and they need to be this way?
No, honestly, I cannot agree more. I think actually it's just a difficult conversation, right? I think the best brands break rules and boundaries when they're looking at any medium in any way. I think with ads, there is times to conform, but there are also times to think, okay, what can we do? How can we do? Again, this is why principle psychology is so important and fundamental truths are. Is what is a before and after actually trying to get across, right? What is the main accomplishment of that? Is identity. It's that transformation, which goes on very nicely actually to our I've done that beautifully, haven't I? To our third emotional angle, and that's progress. I mean, and I think I've always had an interesting view about progress because I think, I don't know, I'd love to hear your view on this, but I feel fundamentally progress in an ad is kind of fighting the fact that people don't like the idea of stagnation. I think the transformation type of stuff, I think transformation and progress are slightly different.
Well, but progress also you almost have me saying progress with your accent.
Yeah, let's go. I'm slowly, one of us is gonna, yeah, 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 yeah.
progress is thing for me, like, it enhances the I don't wanna I'm trying to find the right word. It enhances the emotional payoff of the goal grading effect. It's not like accomplishment where, like, it is the effect, but it helps people realize, like, goal grading is where you put more effort in as you start to become closer to a goal, right? That's progress.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then people want to accomplish that goal, so they're going to, like, move forward with that bias.
I mean,
And,
I've
like,
got
the No, go ahead.
no, I've got like two things to add here, and I think this is like such an unlock for people. One, when you're thinking about kind of the progress type of stuff, and you know the goals bias that you were saying is like think of the coffee shop, right? They did a great psychological test, behavioral economics study where they took two coffee cards, like membership cards that you'd stamp. One would be pre-stamped, and one wouldn't be stamped at all. But both had the same goal of 10 stamps to get a free coffee. They found I think it was like a 45% increase in use of the card that had been pre-stamped by two
Wow, that's incredible. I haven't seen that.
because it was a halfway to the goal. So it's why I'm very bullish on this, and I think this is such an unlock for so many brands. Quiz funnels, right? Because
Yeah, you've
what's now
mentioned that one
happening,
before.
I bang on about quiz funnels. I just think people need to understand, like let's say every year or every traffic gets more expensive, CAC, CPMs, whatever is going up slightly, rising, right? It's how can you get your bag for your bug for your back or whatever it's called. No, that's not the same. Your bang for
Bang
your
for your
buck.
back.
There you go. I'm going for a new one there. Bang for your buck, right? And it's when they've gone through your funnel, do this quiz flow, you learn data about your potential client, and then if they give you an email, you can then email them better because you know exactly why they're there. And boom, you've segmented them, and then you're cooking. Because I think
Yeah,
selling to
I
people is
I think
key. I
that's
don't
just
think it's.
free information too.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'd love to hear your view on this, Carson. Do you think that companies should go less towards the kind of classic PDP page and go more towards a quiz funnel? Because it also builds in that progress, right? You've done that quiz. You want the
I think
payoff. What do you think?
I think it's worth testing too, because I wouldn't say, like, ditch the PDP completely, but I think, like I mean, there's 2 ways you can run it. You can split test it in multiple ways. You can go to people who don't even know about you, and you wanna give them better information, and then you wanna give the people who have already purchased from you a quiz so that you can get their information, right, and then what they think from the product. I think, like, there's a bunch of different ways to run that, but I think the information is very powerful, and it helps brands and advertisers with the research aspect.
Yeah. And also, big tip, by the way, so many people get this wrong. The first question on your funnel, right? Don't go into the pain problem and what they've got. None of that. Just ask if it's a man or a woman. Simple. What? It's again. It's like the coffee study, right? Give them a very easy pre-stamp. Make it such
Well,
a low friction question, even though it gives
but
you.
that also is so helpful because depending on your product, people will have different reasons for buying. You could have a product that you might think you're trying to target men, but women are buying for their men, right? It's like Old Spice. Old Spice had that one ad in like 2010 that completely changed their business because they marketed to women for their man, right? And it's like you need to know exactly who is buying and why.
Yeah.
That stuff's important. And going into, like, what progress is so people understand it. It's like momentum, it's improvement, it's growth, and it's just small incremental progress to be able to see, that you're going towards the accomplishment phase.
No, I agree, and I think what will be very interesting is there's this feeling that, in a way, it's you've got to understand that progress for a lot of people is they're not going to like let's say they want to lose weight, right? You've got to make your product a part of their journey. A progress is a journey. It's a time thing, right?
Yes.
And that's why I like those things that brands do. It's like a 30-day challenge or a 90-day
Yeah.
challenge with their product, right?
That's why before and afters work.
Yeah. And I think before and after it's bleeding into both of these angles emotionally. I think it's important. But yeah, I mean, I'm very intrigued, kind of Carson, with what you're seeing. Do you think brands are shifting away from kind of like pure purchase optimization stuff and kind of more towards like non-purchase signals? And what I mean by that is like view count, engaged users, awareness stuff. Like, what do you think? Bit of a horrible question, I know.
That's
A horrible question.
It's a tough one to answer because, like, I think a lot of brands are going more the route of, like, they understand now that you need not just conversion-focused ads, like, they have the top of funnel, like, they have, like, showing people why, we have one for a client that doesn't show the product, doesn't ask for people to purchase it, it's just, like the headline's like, "Are you a failure?" And it goes into, like,
Wow.
why people fail their New Year's diets and how they go, like it shows the progress of the journey. And then it's like, you're not a failure. You just don't have the right nutrition or whatever. Right. And it's like you're succumbing to cravings, whatever it was. I don't remember off the top of my head. I just know that was the headline, and it was strictly a top funnel journey focused ad. Right. But it shows progress. And like why that is going to work is because it's going to introduce people, and it's going to show like, they fear stagnation. Right. And they
Mm,
want the hope without the pressure, and be able to see like, okay, this small win feels achievable if I just take this one step,
mm.
right? It's that builds the momentum, and it shows like how you go from, where you are to where you can be with the progress, right? And it's like you're one step closer to it. You're better than yesterday, and like you don't have to be perfect, but you need to make progress.
But it's interesting. I mean, we've done this beautifully. You've done this in a very good way. How you've talked about it, because when you do something, when you progress at something, you accomplish something.
Yes. But also, like, the thing with progress is you don't have to advertise the goal. The difference is the for the progress is you're advertising a habit and a routine and a journey. You're not just advertising the end product, right? So accomplishment, it goes into, you're actually advertising the goal that they want. But progress is just, you go from here, up to this goal. So you're reaching people that care about different things, who are at different stages of their life. That's why these angles are different and so important. They each kind of, yes, they coincide and go together, but at the same time, it reaches different people at different life stages who want different things and who need different things. But going into like accomplishment, like what do you think? How would you define it?
I think accomplishment is like I made a smart and responsible decision, and I think that's accomplishment. And what I mean by that is it's a validation thing, right? It's I made a choice, a decision that I felt was right, and I've accomplished what I wanted. And I think so many people, and I think it's really important, right, is they want a feeling of safety and security. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right at the bottom. I handled
Yeah.
this properly. So again, accomplishment comes in some really great ways, guys, for a funnel. When someone buys a product, reconfirm the bias in their mind that they've done the right thing. Such a simple unlock for so many brands, they don't do it. I don't know why.
Well, and also like accomplishment is not just, I accomplished this goal. It's, I avoided this other thing. You're
Yes,
still accomplishing something, but it's the inverse,
agreed.
right? You don't just increase your marathon time, right? Like that's the goal, is you accomplish a new marathon time. You avoided losing from what you already had,
Loss aversion beautifully. That fear of
you know?
future regret. I know, I think
Exactly.
you're on it. You're on
So
it.
like it's a two-pronged thing, right? You have the accomplishing a goal, and you have avoiding a pain, right? So accomplishment is not just a positive thing, it's a negative thing. And why it converts is like that is selling the dream and the goal, but it's also selling what you want to avoid having.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's interesting because you look at the great ads when they're looking at accomplishment, it's that state that they've got to by doing it, right? If you take this supplement and you lose weight, then your status will be better, you'll be more attractive, et cetera, right?
Yes.
I think these are the best ads for when you want to sell that future outcome that someone wants. The
Yeah.
accomplishment, right?
Yeah. And it's like you're going on the skincare. It's not just get better skin, it's avoid having worse skin.
Mm.
Right? And it makes people feel like capable and competent, but also proud that they did something or avoided doing something. Their effort from the progress actually paid off.
No, I agree. I agree. I think it's such an underrated emotion. And I think again, I think what's really important as well from this episode, we've got one more to go. I want to really clarify this, is that these emotions are not only in your ads. These are full funnel. These are in everything you do as a company. Is
Yeah.
understanding that these core principles are always going on in the background. And just listen. I think this thing is so important. Like listen and think to yourself, what emotion should I be feeling right now? If you click on a landing page you've never seen before, there's going to be a bit of fear, right? You're gonna be like, what am I looking at? Whatever, right? How can you get to the emotion, the desired state of emotion that you want your customer to be in, and really
Yes.
map that out? I think it's a project you should sit down with your team with, or with Carson or me. I think Carson's better at that than me on the emotional side. So definitely go to Carson. But you see what I mean, right?
Yeah.
But I think this all beautifully leads up to what I think most people actually buy, but never admit it. They want to buy the tribe. They want to buy that belonging. People like me do this, and I'm not early or weird.
Yeah.
That's what I believe belonging is. It's
You
that feeling
feel
of being
understood, you feel like you're normal for, whatever normal you'd classify in per group. You'd feel like you're not broken, and you feel like you're part of a group. You're in a category of a tribe. You're in a in group, not an out group, for
100%.
whatever you see yourself as. So it goes with identity. right? And it's
100%.
one of the most underused emotional levers and angles because I think people just neglect it. They think like, "Oh, belonging isn't gonna sell."
Mm.
But it converts because it reduces shame, it normalizes a behavior, and it creates that emotional safety that you were talking about, right? So people buy faster when they feel like they've been seen and understood, not judged. This is why you don't wanna attack customers in ads. You want to make them feel like they belong.
No, I fully agree, and I think actually belonging can be linked so well to social proof. I think it's
Yes.
everything, right? It's the join this group, join this community. I mean, I've been seeing more companies do this more with their offer. They'll actually allow you access to a WhatsApp group
Yes.
or certain like private events in certain places, right? People belong for community. It's social reassurance. And I think what belonging is really good at is if you can really nail that, the customer won't do as much research as you think. Not saying that you're selling something that you shouldn't be selling, but they believe in they actually will just buy it to be a part of that group. And the product is just a buy, you know?
Yeah. One and how most brands use it, right, is like most people struggle with this. You're not the only one who has X. This happens to people who have, Y. And it's examples of like shared struggles and common frustrations, like universal moments and experiences. Um, and then I would say like group identity without an elitist view,
Yeah.
right? You're
100%.
not you're not so extreme that people can't feel like they don't belong to you.
Yeah. And also as well, I think there's a really smart way to look at this when, and again, it's why I love the quiz funnel, right? By understanding why they're joining, you can then put them into that tribe. Because me and Carson could run for for many different reasons. Carson may run for fitness. I may run just to, I don't know, to turn my brain off, let's say.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Both doing the same action, but the reason behind it is so completely different. And again and again and again, it comes down to this really important principle that not principle, but just life lesson that I'm learning at 23 now. Oh my God. And it's like, be a detective and just do not privilege the hypothesis. Make assumptions and then get rid of them about your customer because customers are always changing. It's a moving goalpost. As Carson says, you advertise to a marching band, right?
Yes.
It's always moving. You're not gonna, and I think that's really important. Again, when you're building documents about your customer or you're looking at keywords or you're scraping Reddit, right? You haven't done your research and you're done. It's a constant iteration.
Yeah. I also think another way people can use this is not just like headlines and concepts, like CDAs. You have like don't just say try our product now. Give them whatever the emotional angle is. Use that to use as your CTA. We've been transporting all of our CTAs now to more specific things that are like, accomplish 2026 goals with this
Right.
and or, reduce X with this, whatever it might be, right? We're taking the route now of switching CTAs from just something generic to something more benefit based and angle based. So every CTA is correlated with the ad and the angle that goes with it. It's not just something that's like buy this now because that's just proof it's an ad,
Yeah.
right? People want to think about the ad and the buying process. They want to think about what they're going to get.
Yeah. Something that I'm quite bullish on, something that I'm slightly seeing in the underground, and it's what brands are trying to do now is when a cohort comes through, they segment the cohort and put them in a WhatsApp chat, and then have their like evangelical, is that the word? Like they're kind of like top 20% of their buyers who are the most brand loyal being these.
The evangelists.
That's the word.
Yeah.
And they'll take the top 20% of their customers who are loyal to the brand and love it, put them in these group chats, and allow them to nurture these people going through the flow and deal with the objections and the pain points that the new customers have. Right?
Yeah. That's it.
Gee, and that's something that I'm really excited about. And also as well, just another thing that I would say is you're not going to please everyone when you're building something and you're targeting emotions. But I think focusing on the 20% of your most high best customers give you the best LTV. It's a really powerful play, in my view, anyway.
I agree. I agree.
So, Carson, how do we conclude this episode? I think it's that look at the 5 emotions we've talked about, understand
Yeah.
that these need to be in the conversation, and I would say I think just don't. I don't know, just really understand that Meta is becoming extremely good at knowing what your customers are like and what the targeting looks like. So just remember that a good way to increase conversion is just have that emotional lever in the background and pull
Yeah.
it when it needs to be pulled.
Well, and also angles are a form of creative diversity.
Yep,
Like that's why they're so important.
I agree. And
Like,
Meta,
you need them to be able to reach different audiences, and Meta
I agree.
knows like, oh, this person struggles with this person struggles with that. We're gonna separate these ads based on just the emotional diversity of it.
Fully agree. Meta is a hungry beast and it needs feeding.
Yes, it
And that's
does.
how we'll end today's episode. But look, very excited with this episode. We're back next week. We're not going anywhere. Yeah, I mean, that's peace for me. What about you?
That's it. Yeah. Comment, like, subscribe. Appreciate everybody for watching, and send this to anybody you need.
New thumbnails, by the way, inbound. Inbound.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway,
Thank
peace
God.
from me, peace from Carson. We'll see you next week.